Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, make sure to hit that subscribe button and ring the notification bell so you never miss any of my Valorant content. We're growing so fast and I really appreciate all the support you've been showing. What's up, Valorant fam? Today we're counting down the top 10 most toxic player types you'll encounter in rank. These are the players that make you question why you even queued up in the first place. If you've been grinding ranked lately, you've definitely run into at least half of these players. Now before we jump in, I want to say that we're not here to attack specific individuals. We're talking about behaviors and patterns that hurt the game experience for everyone. Hopefully by understanding these toxic traits, we can all work together to create a better community. Also, if you recognize yourself in any of these descriptions, don't take it personally. We can all improve our in-game behavior. Let's jump right into it with our countdown. Number 10, the Blame Gamer. Starting off our list at number 10 is the player who never, and I mean never, takes responsibility for anything that goes wrong. This is the guy who dies to the most obvious angle on the map and immediately starts screaming, "Where's my team?" In voice chat, you know the type. They'll take a dry peek into 3 enemies on a site, get absolutely demolished, and somehow it's your fault for not trading them when you were watching flanks on the complete opposite side of the map. These players are masters of deflection. They'll lose a 1v1 duel they took voluntarily, and somehow it's your fault for not supporting their terrible positioning. I've seen Blame Gamers die to the same corner 3 rounds in a row, and each time it's because their teammates didn't give them enough information. Like, bro, maybe don't peek that angle if you know someone's there. The worst part about Blame Gamers is they're usually bottom fragging, but spend the entire match criticizing everyone else's plays. They'll make the worst possible decisions and then blame their teammates for not supporting their bronze level game sense. I've had teammates who would force by every single round, then blame the team for being broke when we needed to save. What makes this behavior so toxic is that they genuinely believe they're the victim in every situation. They've convinced themselves that they're stuck in their rank because of bad teammates, when in reality they refuse to acknowledge their own mistakes. This creates a cycle where they never improve because they're too busy pointing fingers at everyone else. If you're dealing with a Blame Gamer, the best thing you can do is mute them and focus on your own gameplay. Don't let their negativity drag you down to their level. Number 9, the Micromanager. Next up at number 9 is the Backseat Gamer on steroids. This player thinks they're the team captain and tries to control every single move you make. They're constantly telling everyone where to go, what abilities to use, and when to peek. No, don't smoke there. Why are you rotating? You should have saved your flash for next round. The Micromanager will criticize every decision you make in real time, making it impossible to focus on your own gameplay even when they're dead. They're telling you exactly how to clutch the round. They'll watch you through your screen and give you a play-by-play of everything you're doing wrong. Why are you checking that corner? The enemy is probably at the other site. No, don't defuse. Yet, check for flanks first. What makes Micromanagers especially frustrating is that they often have decent game knowledge, but they deliver it in the most annoying way possible. Instead of giving helpful callouts, they're giving you a lecture on every micro decision you make. They'll backseat your utility usage, your positioning, your timing, everything. These players create so much pressure and stress that teammates start making more mistakes just from being overwhelmed. I've seen players completely with easy shots because they have someone screaming instructions in their ear. The Micromanager doesn't understand that different players have different playstyles and comfort zones. The really toxic Micromanagers will start getting personal when you don't follow their instructions. They'll call you stupid or say you don't understand the game, when really they just can't accept that. Other people might have different approaches to winning rounds. Number 8, the Surrender Spammer. Coming in at number 8 is the player who gives up faster than a participation trophy kid. This person wants to forfeit the match after losing the pistol round. They'll type GG go next when the score is 3-0 and start a surrender vote before you've even reached the halfway point. I've seen surrender spammers call for a forfeit when we're down to 2-0. Like seriously, The match just started and you're already mentally defeated. These players have zero mental fortitude and they spread their negativity to the entire team, like a virus. What's really frustrating is that they'll convince other players that the game is over when it's completely winnable. Valorant is a game where momentum can shift instantly. I've won games where we were down 10-2 at half, but surrender spammers will never experience those amazing comebacks because they quit at the first sign of adversity. The surrender spammer usually has a few go-to phrases. This team is trash, we have no chance, enemy team is smurfing. Or my personal favorite, I'm not wasting my time on this game. They'll spam the surrender vote every time it's available, and if it doesn't pass, they'll start griefing or going AFK. These players don't understand that ranked is about long-term improvement, not just winning every single game. Some of the best learning experiences come from difficult games, where you have to fight back from a deficit. But surrender spammers rob themselves and their teammates of these valuable experiences. The worst part is when they start trying to convince other players to surrender with them. They'll use voice chat to demoralize the team and make everyone feel hopeless. It becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy where the team actually starts playing worse because they believe the game is over. Number 7. The verbal abuser. At number 7, we have the player who turns voice chat into a complete nightmare. This person uses every opportunity to personally attack their teammates with insults, slurs, and threats. Instead of giving constructive feedback or helpful call-outs, they'll tear you down with the most creative insults you've ever heard. These players have an unlimited vocabulary when it comes to toxic language. They'll attack your gameplay, your voice, your rank, your agent choice, literally anything they can think of. Miss a shot, you're garbage. Make a rotation call. You don't understand the game. Try to give a suggestion. You're not good enough to have an opinion. What makes verbal abusers so toxic is that they create such a hostile environment that players start avoiding voice chat altogether. This completely ruins team coordination because people are afraid to make callouts or communicate. Strategies. I've been in games where teammates would rather lose rounds than risk getting verbally attacked. For making a callout, the verbal abuser often escalates throughout the match. They might start with mild criticism, but by the end of the game they're making personal attacks and threats. They'll bring up your previous games, your rank from last season, anything they can use to make you feel bad about yourself. These players seem to forget that there are real people behind the screen. They'll say things they would never say to someone's face, hiding behind the anonymity of online gaming. Riot has been cracking down on these players harder than ever with improved reporting systems and chat restrictions, but they still manage to slip through the cracks and ruin games for everyone. Number 6. The thrower. At number 6, we have the player who takes griefing to the absolute next level. When things don't go their way, they'll intentionally sabotage the team's chances of winning. This isn't just playing badly or making mistakes. This is deliberate sabotage, designed to make their team lose. Throwers have a whole arsenal of ways to ruin games. They'll walk straight into enemy fire repeatedly, giving the other team easy kills and ultimate charge. They'll use their abilities to block teammates. I've seen Sage players wall off their own team during crucial pushes, or Omen players smoke their own teammates instead of the enemy. Some throwers will even reveal team positions to the enemy team through chat or voice. They'll call out where their teammates are positioned, when they're rotating, or what strategies they're planning. This completely breaks the competitive integrity of the match and makes it impossible for their team to win rounds. The most frustrating thing about throwers is that they often do this over the smallest disagreements. Maybe someone questioned their agent choice or didn't follow their call or asked them to play more carefully. Instead of being mature about it, they decide to ruin the game for everyone. Throwers waste everyone's time and completely destroy the ranked experience. They're not just hurting their own team, they're affecting all 9 other players in the lobby. The enemy team doesn't get a satisfying win, and the throwers' teammates lose or are and waste 30 minutes of their time. These players often try to justify their behavior by saying their teammates deserve it or that they were forced to throw. but there's never a valid reason to intentionally ruin a competitive match for 9 other people. Number 5, the insta-lock duelist. This player thinks Valorant is team deathmatch with extra steps. They'll instantly lock Reyna or Jet without any discussion about team composition, agent synergy, or what the team actually needs. They refuse to play support roles when the team needs smokes or healing, and they'll often bottom frag despite taking the star DPS role. The insta-lock duelist has a few classic characteristics. First, they'll hover over their favorite duelist agent during agent select and lock them in within the first 5 seconds, regardless of what anyone else is planning to play. They don't care if the team already has to duelist or if nobody wants to play support roles. Second, they'll demand all the resources and attention from the team. They want to be set up for success with flashes, smokes, and heals, but they won't return the favor when other players need utility. They'll ask for a smoke to help them peek, but when the controller needs someone to trade them, the insta-lock duelist is nowhere to be found. These players force unbalanced team compositions that make rounds much harder than they need to be. Your team ends up with no smokes, no heals, and no information gathering because everyone wanted to be the hero. I've been in games with 3 duelists and no controller, and it's an absolute nightmare trying to execute any kind of strategy. The worst part is that insta-lock duelists often have inflated egos about their role. They think they're the most important player on the team because they're supposed to get kills. But they don't understand that Valorant is a team game where everyone has an important role to play. When the insta-lock duelist inevitably underperforms, they'll blame the team for not supporting them properly. They'll say things like "I had no flashes" or "nobody traded me," while ignoring the fact that they forced an unbalanced composition that made it impossible for the team to support them properly. Number 4. The stream sniper. At number 4, we have the players who specifically target content creators and streamers. These toxic players will follow streamers into games just to grief them and try to get their 5 minutes of fame. They'll use the stream delay to gain unfair advantages, or spend the entire match trying to get a reaction from the streamer instead of actually playing the game. Stream snipers have several different approaches to their toxicity. Some will try to get into the same game as the streamer and then throw to make them lose. Others will try to get on the enemy team and use the stream to gain information about the streamer's team positioning and strategies. The attention-seeking stream snipers are particularly annoying. They'll spend the entire match trying to get noticed by the streamer, either through toxic behavior or by trying to be overly friendly and helpful. They'll make constant references to the stream, mention the streamer's name repeatedly, or try to get featured in highlight clips. What makes stream sniping especially toxic is that it doesn't just affect the streamer, it ruins the experience for all the other players in the lobby. The viewers watching the stream also suffer because instead of seeing good gameplay, they're watching some toxic player try to ruin the content. Stream snipers often have a weird parasocial relationship with the content creators they're targeting. They'll claim to be fans while simultaneously trying to ruin the streamer's games and content. They don't seem to understand that they're actively hurting the people they claim to support. Many streamers have had to implement delays, subscriber-only modes, or other measures to deal with stream snipers, which affects the viewing experience for legitimate fans. These toxic players are literally making content creation harder and less enjoyable for everyone involved. Number 3. The Smurf Griefer. Coming in at number 3 is the high-skilled player, who intentionally stays in lower ranks just to dominate new players. But these aren't just regular Smurfs, these are the toxic ones who deliberately lose games to keep their rank low, then absolutely destroy genuinely learning players who are just trying to improve. Regular smurfing is already problematic, but Smurf griefers take it to another level. They'll throw games intentionally to maintain their artificially low rank, griefing their teammates in the process. Then in the next game, they'll try hard and completely dominate players who are legitimately at that skill level. These players ruin the new player experience and make it impossible for people to learn the game naturally. Imagine being a bronze player trying to improve. and you run into a diamond level player who's deliberately staying in bronze just to pub stomp. It's completely demoralizing and drives new players away from the game. Smurf griefers often have toxic attitudes toward the players they're dominating. They'll trash talk in chat, make fun of lower skilled players, or act like they're superior for being able to beat players who are genuinely at a lower skill level. They don't seem to understand that everyone was a beginner at some point. What makes this behavior especially toxic is that it creates unfair matchups that hurt the competitive integrity of ranked. These players are essentially cheating the matchmaking system to get easier games, and they're doing it at the expense of players who are just trying to have fair, competitive matches. Riot has been working on better Smurf detection and faster rank adjustments to combat this problem, but Smurf griefers still find ways to abuse the system. They'll use different strategies to maintain low ranks while still having high impact in games. Number to the toxic IGL. At number 2, we have the self-appointed in-game leader who thinks they're running a professional esports team. These players will demand everyone follows their strategies and calls, but instead of being a positive leader, they become a toxic dictator who creates a hostile environment for the entire team. The toxic IGL often has decent game knowledge and understanding of Valorant strategy, which makes their behavior even more frustrating. They could actually help the team win if they knew how to communicate properly, but instead they choose to be aggressive, demeaning, and controlling. These players will flame anyone who doesn't follow their calls perfectly, even if the call was poorly communicated or didn't make sense in the context of the round. They'll expect everyone to read their mind and know exactly what they want, then get angry when teammates don't execute their vision flawlessly. What makes toxic IGLs especially harmful is that they often have good intentions initially. They want to win and they want to coordinate the team, but they have terrible leadership skills and emotional control. They turn what should be helpful team coordination into a power trip, where they get to boss everyone around. The toxic IGL will often take credit for wins and blame teammates for losses. When their calls work out, they'll make sure everyone knows it was their strategy. When their calls fail, it's because the team didn't execute properly or someone didn't follow instructions exactly. These players create a stressful environment where teammates are afraid to make their own decisions or suggest alternative strategies. They shut down communication and make it impossible for the team to adapt to changing situations in the match. Number 1, the Rage Quitter. Taking the top spot at number 1 is the player who ruins the game for everyone by leaving mid-match. These players will abandon the game the moment something doesn't go their way, leaving their team to play for V5 for the rest of the match. This is the most toxic behavior in Valorant because it guarantees that their team will have an extremely difficult time winning. Rage quitters have a million different triggers. Maybe they're tilted from a bad round, upset about team composition, frustrated with their teammates' performance, or just having a bad day. Whatever the reason, they'll disconnect and force their teammates to suffer through an almost unwinnable situation. The timing of rage quits is what makes them especially toxic. These players often leave right when the team needs them most, during crucial rounds, when the team is making a comeback, or when the game is still completely winnable. I've had teammates quit when we were down 7-5, only to watch the rest of the team nearly bring it back in a 4v5. What makes rage quitting the most toxic behavior is that it wastes everyone's time and effort. The remaining teammates have to choose between playing out a nearly impossible for V5 situation, or surrendering and taking a loss. Either way, they're being punished for something completely outside their control. Rage quitters also hurt the enemy team's experience. Sure, they get an easier win, but it's not a satisfying victory. They don't get to test their skills against a full team, and they don't get the same sense of accomplishment from winning a 5v4. The worst rage quitters are the ones who leave and then come back just to leave again. They'll disconnect, rejoin a few rounds later, maybe play one round, then leave again. This gives false hope to their teammates and creates an even more frustrating experience. Some rage quitters will try to justify their behavior by saying the game was already over or their teammates were too toxic to play with. But there's never a valid reason to abandon a competitive match. and ruin the experience for 9 other people. And there you have it, the top 10 most toxic Valorant players you'll encounter in ranked. I know we've all dealt with these players at some point, and it can be incredibly frustrating. The important thing to remember is that these toxic players are usually dealing with their own issues, whether it's poor emotional control, lack of game knowledge, or just general immaturity. The best way to deal with toxicity is to stay positive. Use the mute button when necessary, and focus on your own improvement. Don't let toxic players drag you down to their level or ruin your enjoyment of the game. Remember that for every toxic player you encounter, there are plenty of positive players who want to have a good time and play as a team. If you're working on your own behavior, try to be the change you want to see in the community. Give constructive feedback instead of criticism. Stay positive even when things go wrong. And remember that everyone has bad games sometimes. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to smash that like button. It really helps with the algorithm and lets me know you want to see more content like this. Let me know in the comments which toxic player type you encounter most often, or if I missed any that you think should have made the list. I'm always looking for ideas for future videos. Don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already, and hit that notification bell so you never miss my latest Valorant content. I've got more ranking videos, agent guides, gameplay tips, and strategy breakdowns coming your way, so stay tuned. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Stay positive out there, and remember, don't let the toxic players win. Keep grinding and focus on your own improvement. Peace.